All right, guys. So Tony Stark, Elon Musk has done it once again. He has broken the internet by buying a massive stake in Twitter just days after criticizing Twitter over its lack of free speech, over its overt censorship of more conservative viewpoints or viewpoints that don't go along with the mainstream liberal / Democrat narrative. Now, again, this is a big deal that has a whole lot of people, particularly conservatives, celebrating because conservatives, again, have faced the brunt of the censorship from platforms like Twitter, which has marginalized our voices online. And a lot of people, not just conservatives, but also libertarian types as well, too, sane liberals, have been looking for a solution to this problem, right? Because a lot of people see the writing on the wall. A lot of people see how dangerous it is that these big tech platforms that have essentially become public forums, de facto public forums, even though they're private companies, the actual functionality is a public forum. I would make that argument. Elon Musk has made that argument. People are saying how dangerous it is when you allow these tech oligarchs to control what speech is allowed to be heard and what speech is not allowed to be heard. I mean, we've seen the consequences of that throughout this whole pandemic, and also throughout our elections, right? When it comes to certain stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story that was heavily censored by platforms like Twitter because it didn't go along with the Democrat narrative, okay? And we see that now, fast forward 2 years in the future, people are admitting that that story was actually true, right? That that story should not have been censored in the first place, but Twitter decided to censor it because they're ran by communists, right? So with that being said, a non-communist, Elon Musk, purchasing a 9% stake in Twitter, which makes him the largest shareholder, individual shareholder at the company, is a big deal, as a lot of people on the right have been asking Elon Musk to buy Twitter, right? And he most certainly can if he wants to. His net worth is around 250 billion to 300 billion. Twitter is only like, what, 30 billion or something like that. So he definitely could, okay, if he wanted to. And him buying this much in Twitter, right, a 9% stake that I believe is worth about 3 billion today, is really a drop in the bucket for him. But it certainly gives him a lot more control over the operations of the company than even people who actually have ran the company in the past or on the board of directors, like Jack Dorsey, right? You can make an argument now that Elon Musk might actually have more power and control over the company than Dorsey, who was one of the founders and just resigned as CEO of Twitter. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what this means for censorship in the short term and long term, and then we'll go from there. But before I get into that, I just want to go ahead and play this clip from CNBC that is going to be a discussion about what this might mean, and then we're going to read a little bit more about this. Take a look.
Again, it gets people talking about the company. Andrew, you were talking about Twitter and the political perspective. Maybe
Right.
If you just take a hands-off approach and you just let people talk and say what they want, you have less, you have more cover by just letting it be more of a free exchange of information rather than trying to tell
right, but
certain
Paul.
groups.
So, Paul, the complicated part is right. That's a sort of very not a libertarian view, but a sort of just let things fly and see what happens. The argument that I'd make on the other side is I think you're going to have political leaders who are going to say, look, people are spewing misinformation and lies. I mean, that's been what we've been talking about for the last 4 or 5 years. And here is Elon Musk, if that's what he's supporting, and I'm not suggesting that's what he's supporting, but if, in fact, that's what was happening, therefore, they may say, OK, we're now going to penalize SpaceX, or we're going to penalize Tesla in this other way. Sylvia, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I'm not sure that regulators could directly sort of, obviously go after his other business lines because of this. I think, knowing Elon Musk and his reaction to things, he would then file legal action against something like that. But I do see your point in another way.
Have you not seen Georgia? Have you not seen the state of Georgia go after, Delta for voting rights or just about anything else that they thought was something on the other side of them politically?
Or Bezos with the Washington Post. Yeah.
Absolutely. But my point is he fights back right away. Right. So I think that, what could likely happen is that regulators will become more and more interested in Twitter, which they already are in terms of like censorship and policing comments and things like that. And I think, having Elon Musk taking on more than a passive role there is something that'll just get the watchdogs onto Twitter. On the other hand, in the short term, I think Dan Ives made the comment. I do think that the stock is likely to bounce from this because, he's sort of the king of all influencers, right? So everybody's going to watch and see what happens here. And if he takes on a bigger role, I think that'll get advertisers very interested. DAOs will increase, MAUs will increase, and all of that. But yeah, I do think that there will be a much bigger regulatory paying attention to of Twitter if he goes beyond passive here.
Yeah, so I think that's some interesting points that were made here, right? Because Elon Musk hasn't necessarily been all that friendly with the Biden administration. He don't really like Biden like that. He's made it very, very, very clear. He also doesn't like the regulation from the federal government that has went after him multiple times, okay? And Elon Musk seems to be a vengeful type of guy, right? He seems to be the type of guy where if you F with him, he will F with you back, right? And he's been outspoken about how he doesn't necessarily like the censorship coming from Twitter. And basically what he does in response to that is like, all right, well, I might just buy the company, right? I might just buy more of the company and just, go after this myself, which brought up in that conversation there, right? Like, Democrats are probably pissed off about it because they're the ones that are pushing for more censorship on Twitter. Okay, they're the ones that literally are begging Twitter in Senate hearings to censor more, particularly opinions that they don't necessarily agree with, right? So Elon Musk buying a stake in Twitter enough to, at this point, maybe he's not passive anymore. Maybe he's actively involved in some of the company's operations or having a say. That is a FU to the Democrats, right? That is an FU to the federal government. That is an FU to all those people who want to censor opinions that they don't like. Okay, that is essentially what Elon Musk is doing here, right? And I love it, right? I love it. This is the free market. This is how the free market is supposed to work. You're supposed to have somebody that comes in and is like, nah. I'm not down with this, right? I'm just gonna buy this company or whatever, and we're gonna turn this around. We're not going down this direction because I'm gonna tell you, Elon Musk could start his own platform, but there's a network effect that makes it really hard to overcome the fact that a lot of people are already on Twitter. They're used to the platform. They're using it. And it's just going to be hard to get a massive amount of users on another platform quickly. Okay, we've seen startup after startup after startup try to do this, and they're just not as successful. Okay, and it's hard because, again, it's the network effect. So why not just buy the company that already has the clout? Right, and I guess that's what Elon Musk is basically doing here. So let's read here. Elon Musk is taking a 9.2% stake in Twitter just days after Tesla's billionaire CEO criticized the social network for stifling free speech and publicly mused about creating a rival platform. The SEC filing revealed on Monday that Musk, the world's richest person with a fortune of more than $287 billion, according to Forbes, bought some 73.5 million shares of the company, which are worth more than $2.89 billion. News of the acquisition sent shares of Twitter soaring by more than 25% in pre-market trading on Monday. Musk has been raising questions about the ability to communicate freely on Twitter, tweeting last month about free speech and the social media platform. Quote, free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Do you believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle? He tweeted. The next day, Musk took it a step further, writing, given that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy. What should be done? Yeah, apparently Elon Musk had already bought shares of this company, right? He bought more of the stake before he actually put out those tweets, okay? So he already kind of knew what he was going to do here, okay? Again, this guy is literally a real-life Tony Stark. He really is the Iron Man of our time, okay? It is amazing. In a separate tweet, Musk said that he was giving some serious thought to creating a new social media platform. Tech giants like Twitter, Facebook, Google, and Amazon have been accused by some conservatives and free speech advocates of banning users with unpopular views. Then Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey said last year that his company erred when it censored a New York Post article about Hunter Biden's laptop in the weeks leading up to the presidential election. Due to Twitter's share structure, Musk's stake in the company will give him far more influence over the site's operations than can be exerted by outside investors in tech giants like Meta or Google. While Mark Zuckerberg holds special dual-class shares that effectively allow him to override Meta's investors' objections and do whatever he wants. Twitter only has one class of shares. That means Twitter shares held by founder Jack Dorsey give Dorsey the same voting power as shares held by Musk. In a demonstration of the power that can be wielded by Twitter investors, Dorsey stepped down as Twitter CEO in 2021 following a heated activist campaign from shareholder Elliott Management. Elliott held around 4% of Twitter shares at the time, less than half of Musk's current stake. So listen, what this means is that Musk, if he wanted to, he would have the power to basically kick out the CEO, okay? Because that's basically what happened to Jack Dorsey. And Elliott Management only had 4% at the time. Elon Musk has double the influence of that company, right? And we all know Twitter's new CEO, Parag Agrawal, right? Some Indian guy. He's very pro-censorship, right? He's very against free speech, okay? And they've ratcheted up censorship since that guy took over. So theoretically, Elon Musk could take him out if he wanted to, okay? He really could. So with that being said, what does this mean for the short term? What does it mean for the long term? What does it mean for the short term doesn't really mean anything in my opinion, because Elon Musk is not immediately going to go in and just, kick all the woke people out of the company and rechange the company dramatically. Like, that's not what's about to happen, okay? It doesn't really mean anything in the short term. Now, what it means in the long term is that, who knows, Elon Musk could decide to start exerting more influence over this company in the direction that this company goes in, especially when it comes to censorship. I think that's his main interest. I literally think that Elon Musk doesn't really care about whether or not Twitter makes money in the long term as much as he cares about the fundamental aspect of free speech. And I think he literally could be there as a free speech kind of watchdog to say, okay, we're not going to have this company just actively censoring people like this, okay? So what that means in the long term, I think that maybe, just maybe, when it comes to Twitter censoring public figures, people like the President of the United States, world leaders, politicians, I think that might change, right? I think Elon Musk probably might have a strong influence on that. But when it comes to the censoring of normal, everyday, average folks, I'm not necessarily sure if it's going to change all that much, because I'm going to tell you guys, in order to actually change this stuff, you're going to have to kick out all the woke employees, okay? Because they're the ones that's actually really the problem. Because these companies are so big, guys, that the CEO or the board of directors or people like Elon Musk, like they can't monitor everybody that's being censored, right? The people that are actually responsible for making the censorship decisions, a lot of that is down the food chain, right? It's not the CEO making that decision. It's some manager or something like that, or some random employee that's in charge of that, right? Those people are the real problem, okay? And making sure that those people aren't able to have their personal beliefs override company policy is what the real issue here is, right? That's the real fight, okay? So if that's something that Elon Musk can change, then great, right? But I highly doubt that he's going to have that much time and is going to put in that much effort to influence that, okay? But who knows? Maybe he will. But what I do know, when it comes to decisions like censoring President Trump or some politician, that probably is a decision that is made by people who are further up the food chain. And I think Elon Musk will definitely have an effect on those people for sure, right? I don't think that he's buying more stake in this company not to have a say, especially considering how much he values free speech. And he understands the importance of Twitter and the fact that what Twitter is doing is fundamentally dangerous to our democracy, right? And it's just hilarious how he says that, because he's using the same talking points the Democrats use, all right? The Democrats say, hey, you got to censor conservatives to save democracy. And Elon Musk is like, no. You have to do the opposite of that to save democracy. And then he goes out of his way to literally buy the largest stake in the company that has probably the most influence over free speech in our modern society. Again, the guy is just an absolute beast, right? He really is. And I'm just glad that it seems like as of right now that he's on the right side here, okay? So it remains to be seen what will happen, right? What exactly will this mean in the future in terms of censorship? But I think that maybe, just maybe, this is the best hope that Twitter will turn this around, at least when it comes to censoring major political figures. I think that's probably going to be the biggest impact of this move. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.